At the bottom of mainland Australia lies a small island nestled in the Bass Coast. Its humble inhabitants spend their days between rural pastures and untouched coastline. But despite the slow passing of time and the endless scenic distractions, there are a selfless few who stand to impact the world. On the 20th of March 2022, despite the setbacks and uncertainty of the pandemic, a launch party and fundraising event was held on Phillip Island, Victoria, Australia. The event saw the collaboration of a homegrown small business and the aspirations of one man and his charity. Together, they share the ambitious goal to benefit those far beyond their geographic reach.
My name is Matt Botel and I'm the founder and CEO of Free 3D Hands. In 2014, while I was working at Toyota, they called us all into a room and told us that the automotive industry would be closing and that in 3.5 years' time we would have to transition into a job outside of the automotive industry. And during this wind-down period of 3.5 years, I decided to do something positive with my engineering skills. All I wanted to do was put a smile on somebody's face by doing something that I enjoy using my engineering skills. So I decided to buy one 3D printer and make a hand for one kid. And I came in touch with a family up in Newcastle, and their son Eli was born without fingers on one of his hands. And I worked with the family to help Eli pick out the colours to make an Iron Man theme hand. And with this 3D printer, downloading an open source 3D printed hand, downloaded it, picked the colours, made it red and gold, and we sent it up to Eli up in Newcastle. And it was a few weeks later that I got sent a video from the family. I was actually sitting at my desk at Toyota, and I opened up this video and I could see Eli putting this hand on and using his left hand for the first time and picking things up, and just the smile on his face, it just brought me so much joy. I actually teared up. A lot of the time in schools they still refer to science, technology, engineering and maths as STEM, but the most important element of that is creativity. So I think arts and creativity is really, really important in applying your science, technology, engineering and maths. So I think it should be called STEAM. STEAM education, I think, is really important, and to teach kids to continue being creative. We're all born creative as young kids. We have a lot of focus and emphasis on drawing and creating when we're kids, and all of a sudden, somewhere along the path, we stop being creative. But engineering and maths has no application if there's not creativity behind it. So creativity is extremely important in engineering. When I was going through the redundancy process and trying to work out what I was going to do for the rest of my life, I completely eliminated money from the equation and asked myself, if money wasn't a factor, what would I do with my life? And when I made that first hand for a kid and saw the smile on his face, I just instantly knew this is something I want to do for the rest of my life. Before we make a hand, we will then, based on our calculations, we're able to make just a test palm that we send to the recipient, and just to confirm that it's going to fit. And then we might make some further adjustments and then print and assemble the final hand. And some of the kids that we've made hands for, they're already on their 6th or 7th hand, because kids grow very, very quickly. And I think that's where the real benefit in 3D printing is that it's not only customizable, but it's very inexpensive. Our hands probably cost about $5 to $10 in materials, which is really important if you want to make them more accessible to people around the world. My core value is that everyone is born equal, and regardless of where you're born and what your circumstances are in the world, I think we have the capability and the responsibility to ensure that everyone has a fair go, that everybody comes along on the journey. And it doesn't matter who it is, even if it's someone with a lot of money, I still couldn't charge 1 cent for the devices that we make, because I think it's just everybody's right to have access to tools that are going to improve their quality of life. The real challenge for me is time. I wish there were more days in the week where I could be designing and creating. And I suppose the reality of running a charity is that I have to be out and about fundraising or spreading, the word of what we do. So the biggest challenge for me, I suppose, is having time, enough time in the day or the week or the year to be designing and creating, because that's what I love doing the most. But it's when we share our design with people that others can then replicate what we do around the world to reach more people. Creating is using your imagination to leave something that is a part of you and sharing that with the world. For me, in all of my designs, it's something that becomes timeless. And when we release and share that design with the world, it's almost like a part of you is then being replicated and existing, all around the world. And I know that by doing so, if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, at least kids will start to continue to get their hands. And I think that's really, really important. But I think if our next generation can start using creativity to solve our world's biggest problems, that'd be a really, really great thing. And learning to share with others. I've always been very anti-patent. I think sometimes when you patent an idea, you do that out of fear of somebody else stealing your idea or profiting from your creativity. But when you create things with the intent of releasing them under open source licenses to share with the world, you don't have that fear. And that encourages collaboration, and people start to work together and focus not on yourself and control of IP, but focusing on helping people. And when we do that, I think we can solve some of the world's largest problems. Why share our designs with the world? Because my focus now is much larger than myself. In fact, I'm planning for myself to be made redundant again, right? By sharing all of my designs, it empowers other people and communities around the world to be able to replicate what we do. To make assistive technology accessible to everyone on the planet is something that I probably won't achieve in my lifetime, but I'm trying to set processes up and systems, and by sharing all of our designs open source, I hope that other people will improve on those designs, even past my time, so that we can eventually get to the point in time where we are all equal in our access to assistive technology. All of the families and the kids that we make the hands for, to me, they're my hero, and I'm just doing what I can with the skills that I've got to make them feel like superheroes. A few years ago, before the COVID pandemic, Ocean Reach reached out, and we sat down in the tap house in Cowes, and they suggested that they wanted to find a way to help our charity, and I was just over the moon. I was so excited, because not only were they wanting to support us, but I thought this is a collaboration between two local groups, joining forces, and I hope that for Ocean Reach they get as much out of this as we do. We get an immense amount of joy in helping people, and I hope that Ocean Reach feel a part of that along this journey.
Ocean Reach are a Phillip Island craft beer brewery. They've donated their time and 100% of the proceeds of their special collaboration beer, Bionic, to Matt and Free 3D Hands. Their goal is to raise $20,000 through their passion for great beer.
I'm Simon Bismeyer and head brewer and owner of Ocean Reach Brewing. Brewing is important because it employs so many people across the world. You know, it gives a lot of people a lot of jobs, especially the craft industry. I think there's more people working in the craft industry than there is in the big players because we don't have all the machinery and I guess all the power and money to have robots do all the work for us. So we have human beings getting their hands dirty. And I think creative aspect of brewing is important because that's the whole artisan part of what we do. You know, it's a craft. And you explore more different flavours and different things by doing that, I guess. When we first started Ocean Reach Brewing, I guess what was going through my mind at the very beginning is everyone going to like our beers? You know, that was always a big risk. Sure, my friends were saying that they like my home brew, but it's so different doing it on a commercial scale. That was obviously going through my mind every day, but on top of that, we're just excited to be able to do something that I love. Depending on the beer style, you know, we have lots of different methods in coming up with our recipes. We always based on very traditional styles of brewing. When we first got into the scene, I was dating back and doing a lot of reading on how these recipes became what they are today. But then from there, I'm getting a little bit more skill and a little bit more confidence. You know, now we can come up with a concept, and it can be anything. It can be something from your childhood that you remember eating, and how do we turn that into a beer? And that's something that I don't just do. That's something that the team collaborate over a beer, and just talk around different ideas that we could pull together. And that's pretty much what we do now. You know, is, okay, that flavour, you can't buy that off the shelf. How do you put that in a beer, kind of thing? You know, not every product can go straight into the brewing process. So you might draw coffee out of malt, or might use real coffee, or whatever it may be. So yeah, that's our method really. It's just teamwork and collaborating. And if we're doing something that's more traditional, we'll go back and try and do it as best we can. Because we do so many seasonal beers and limited releases, the creative, you do get writer's block, I guess. But again, having such good creative people around us, there's always someone with an idea. So that's a great thing. We don't run out of ideas, because if someone's got the writer's block, there's someone else who's got a bunch of ideas. But as far as the challenges, it's just small business stuff, being able to afford the next tank, being able to afford all this crazy equipment that the brewing industry has. They're the challenges you face. And then, it's obviously in these times, the supply of ingredients and logistics can be a real challenge, but there's nothing we can't get on top of. But, creating for me is something that you're passionate about. Pulling something together that you really love and being able to have an end product in your hand. That's where the creativity side of things come from. I guess where it all comes from for me. Passion, do what you do. So highlights would be the first time we put something into a can. At the very beginning, we were always just directly over the bar. So to have something produced into a can was really cool and a really big milestone for us. And then a couple of years later, entering those cans into the Australian International Beer Awards and coming out with a few golds, silvers, that was a massive achievement. Just to get some recognition from our peers was really nice. And also good for the rest of the team. It's not just about me, just make sure we're all doing a good job, kind of thing. So that was awesome. Well, people say it's the best beer they ever had. Obviously, that makes me feel really good inside. But there's so many good beers out there. How would they know if it's the best one they've ever had? There's always another one out there. It doesn't have to be by Ocean Reach, but of course, if they want to keep buying Ocean Reach, that's good by me. From the very beginning of Ocean Reach, we always had an idea of doing something community-driven, and we didn't know what or where or who that was going to be with. So it was just by chance that we managed to meet Matt at our bar over a beer. We learned a little bit about 3D Hands, Free 3D Hands, and what he was doing, and obviously blown away. It's not hard to get amped up about what he's doing for so many young people out there. So we just started talking. It was a couple of years ago, and we liked the idea of collaborating and making a beer and supporting him. And we put that on the back burner because we were still very much in our infancy in the wholesale market. we only had 3 fermenters. Everything was tied up, and it would have been a big, risk, I guess, for us to be able to donate 100% of a whole batch at that stage. But luckily, a couple of years later, we didn't forget. We called Matt, and we got in touch again at the bar over another beer. Came up with the Bionic West Coast IPA idea, coinciding with the launch of his new amazing Bionic arm that he's doing free of charge, of course. And that's where it all came from. So just wanted to get behind what he was doing. And it wasn't until we started reaching out to our suppliers and we realised, hey, we can make a big impact here. We could really, really help Free 3D Hands in a much larger way than just Ocean Reach. So we managed to get so many suppliers on board. And it's going to be amazing. We see us being a really good fit for Free 3D Hands purely because he's also on Phillip Island. And we've always wanted to do something amazing with another amazing business down here. Even his is not for profit, so I just think we're a good fit based on that, being both local to the community, and he also loves beer, so that's pretty easy decision to make. So when we were talking with Matt at our bar, he described that he wanted a beer that was like punching a hop in the face. We thought, okay, that has to be a West Coast IPA for sure. So yeah, that's basically where the style came from. It was all Matt's idea. And in terms of flavour, I guess that's where Ocean Reach kind of came in. And we actually reached out to our suppliers. We spoke to Yakima Chief, and they donated all their hops, and we actually collaborated with them and said, what's really nice coming out of the crop, because it's a fresh crop of hops. And they came up with Simcoe hops, Centennial and Mosaic, which just together paired so nicely for this beer. And then for the base, we used Barrett Burston, which is a Victorian malt company here. And we bought that through, well, we actually got that donated through Cryer Malt, 100% as well, free of charge to donate towards this beer. And that was just a really nice, clean, pale malt. Just so we've got a nice straw colour to this beer. It's not overly complicated malt profile. And that just makes those hops sing. And that's awesome. And we use an American strain yeast as well from Bluestone Yeast. And once again, 100% of that was donated from them. And so that's basically the flavour profile. You're going to get citrus, pine, hop profile with a nice clean malt backbone, nice mild bitterness, and around 6.25%.
I had quite a bit of input into the flavour profile of the beer. The first thing, in my life, the numbers 625 have always been my lucky numbers. I was born on the 25th of June, and those numbers just keep coming through my life. So I said, guys, this beer, let's make it 6.25%. And they're like, oh, that's going to have a bit of a punch. And I'm like, that's exactly right. I wanted to create a bionic beer to support us with the development of our bionic arm, but something that really punches you in the face, right? And I think that's exactly what we've created. Something super hoppy, quite strong. It's 500 ml cans. I think it's going to be something really, really special. So, to take a step back, a few years ago, I saw our charity as potentially manufacturing for the entire planet. We envisioned having hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of 3D printers and sending them all around the world, which is what we're currently doing. We've currently got 40 printers and we send them anywhere in the world. But I think if you look at the World Health Organization statistics, that there are 1 billion people in the world that need some kind of assistive technology, whether that be a walking stick, a wheelchair, a hearing aid, glasses, a prosthesis and orthosis. And out of 1 billion people, 900 million can't access or afford them, right? So only 10% of people can access this. And regardless if we made thousands and thousands of these things a year, and sent them all around the world, we still wouldn't even scrape the surface. So I soon realised that in order to help everybody, and to help as many people as we could, we'd need to focus on empowering communities and people around the world to replicate what we do. One of the greatest things along this journey is through sharing our vision and our why we do what we do. We've been able to meet some incredible people along the way who have then thought a lot more about what they do and how they can help others sharing the skills and their passions that they have. And I think if, as a society, if we can become more focused on helping people and sharing our knowledge and our passions, our joys with others, I think we're going to become a much better society. We often hear reward as being some sort of recognition for what we do, but for me, it's never been about that. I think if we charged even 1 cent for one of our devices and gave those to a recipient, to me that would only be worth 1 cent. It wouldn't have any sort of value. But when you provide it completely free of charge, with no expectation of reward, then it becomes priceless. And that is the greatest reward that you can have, knowing that you've done something for someone with absolutely no expectation of reward. So reward is something I really don't want because we get our reward through just seeing the joy on our recipients' faces.
Ocean Reach just want to continue to grow their team. We're going into another market. They're about to go into Queensland. So we just want to make sure we can manage that flow through the East Coast and just have fun doing it. Our aspirations are just making good quality beer constantly. We don't need to take over the world or anything, but we just want to have a really good team and really good product. And if we just keep doing that, everything else will just follow. I hope that, other people get behind Matt because of what we're doing with them. I know he has so many supporters. I'm not saying we're the only one, but he's so quiet about what he's achieving over there. Right down here in Phillip Island, he's making so many kids happy. Yeah, if people want to go down this route, brew beer and raise money and do stuff like that, if that inspires people, I'd be stoked. If they ever want a job, give me a call. I'll see what I can do. long as I've got a good, my family's happy and we've got a roof above our head, I'm kicking some goals. That's enough. Coming up with a new recipe and pouring it out for the first time and knowing it's an absolute cracker of a beer, that's a reward every single day in my book. I don't know how long Ocean Reach will be around, in terms of years. But if there's a legacy I can leave behind, maybe my kids can take over. Who knows? But I don't really know what's going to happen. Legacy. If the legacy I can leave behind would be that Ocean Reach is a Phillip Island-based brewery, and Phillip Island is recognised for producing quality products, that would be an awesome legacy to leave behind. And, yeah, there's Penguins, there's the GP, and there's Ocean Reach.
What is the legacy of Matt Botel? Firstly, I think that a true legacy for me would be for people after my time, people that will never know my name, to continue to have access to assistive technology. I almost want my name to be taken out of the picture. I just want to I just want to light the fire that encourages innovation, and I want other people to replicate what we do. And if I can start that fire, that would be the best legacy, I think, for me. Creating a world with equal access to assistive technology.